Welcome to Daily Fantasy 5 for Wednesday, May 1st. This is episode 71, where we bring you the 5 things you need to know every day in the world of fantasy sports. And we are always brought to you by mathradio.com, where you can go and get an online math course for your child ages 7 through 17 for as little as $9.99 for a lifetime membership. No other fees to pay, no monthly charges. It's simply a one-time price of $9.99 to help your kids do better in school, get higher test scores, and even get into college. All right, that is mathradio.com. Okay, today, folks, we have a couple baseball stories. We are going to talk about some NBA injuries. We'll talk about the game tonight, and then we're going to break down the NFC North. We're going to rank the teams 1 through 4 on how they did in the 2019 NFL Draft. Okay, so let's start with baseball and our first story, which is from the Miami Marlins. Outfielder Lewis Brinson has been demoted to AAA. He has been batting 197 in 76 at-bats, so plenty of reason to demote the bum Lewis Brinson. So he has been demoted, and Garrett Cooper has been called back up. But he got hit in the hand last night with a fastball, 96 miles an hour, so he is also listed as day-to-day. So not good news out of the Marlins camp. Will they make another move? I don't know. We'll check back in tomorrow to let you know. All right, let's move to the other side of the country in Seattle and talk about the Seattle Mariners. They have sent outfielder Malik Smith to AAA, and they are bringing up last year. Malik Smith hit 296 with 40 stolen bases, so he was a very good source of steals. However, this year in 2019, he's hitting 165. Ouch! And somehow he still has 8 steals on the season. But yeah. 165 is not going to keep you in the majors. They're calling up Brandon Bishop. He's batting 267 with 3 home runs in AAA. So I don't know how long that's going to last either. Not great options in Seattle. All right, let's stop talking about the baseball moves and move over to basketball and talk about James Harden's injury. He got hit in the face by Draymond Green last night accidentally, and he was bleeding out of both eyes, said he couldn't see. He still managed to score 29 points with 7 rebounds and 4 assists, but he's got bleeding and blurriness in both of his eyes. Can't be good going forward for what's his name? James Harden. I really like the Rockets going into this series. They lost me my bet by half a point, but at least they hit the over last night. I appreciated that. Speaking of how we did last night, we hit both of our overs, but we lost on both of our road teams, so that kind of stinks. 2-2, not too bad. We are still, I believe, up 8 units during the playoffs. Tonight we have Portland at Denver. We have a late tip-off for that game. I believe it's at 10 o'clock. Let me check for you real quick, as it is not written down in my trusty notebook. So tonight's game is at 9 o'clock. Excuse me. I'm not going to do a one-team daily fantasy. There's only one game tonight. You can do that five-player thing if you want to over on FanDuel, but I'm going to stay away from that tonight. Denver is favored by 3.5. I like the over at 219.5. Last game they scored 234 points combined, so that's an extra 14 points to work with. I'll take the over tonight for a unit. If I was going to pick, I'd probably take Denver at minus 3.5. I think with Nurkic out for the year, Cantor being injured in his shoulder, I just don't think Portland has the front line to stay with Denver. Give me Denver for minus 3.5 for a unit, and I'll take the over at 219.5. All right. So that's it for the regular portion of our show. We're going to move over and do some more NFL draft recaps. So we're going to go through the NFC North. We're going to rank them 1 through 4. And my number 1 team in the 2019 draft was the Minnesota Vikings. So what they did that I loved the most was they helped their offensive line. And Kirk Cousins specifically. At pick number 18 in the first round, they took Garrett Bradbury, a center out of NC State, and he seems like a solid player. Then in the second round, they took Irv Smith out of Alabama. Irv Smith Jr., excuse me. He's a tight end out of Alabama. I think he's severely overrated. I think he should be talked about in the same group as Hackinson and Fance as the top tight ends in the country last year. He simply just didn't have the production because they didn't go to him all the time. But I think he's a decent blocker, and I think he will definitely help out Kirk Cousins in the passing game. So I like Irv Smith Jr. at tight end. Who else did they draft? They also have another offensive guard out of Oklahoma in Drew Semick. I think this is a very, very good value. I saw him in the second round on a lot of different mock drafts. On their evaluations, they had him as a late second rounder. So to get him as the 12th pick in the fourth round, I think is great value. The one pick I didn't really love was running back Madison out of Boise State. He seems like he doesn't have any particularly outstanding skill. He can block okay. He can receive the pass okay. He can run between the tackles okay, but nothing extraordinary. Maybe they could have traded up and got someone better. They did have what, 2 6-rounders and 3 6-rounders and 4 7th-round picks. So it seems like they're just throwing darts at the wall at this point. But I mean, how can you really tell which running back in the third round is going to be awesome and which one is going to stink? So, okay, they needed a running back. They got one. Fine. Minnesota's DBO last year, offense was 18, defense was 4th. So I really don't mind them going like all in with their first 4 picks on the offensive side of the football. I love that strategy for Minnesota. They've got 3 guys to play on the offensive line. I really think this is going to be outstanding for Kirk Cousins this season. In the later rounds, they took a linebacker in the 5th round, a defensive tackle, an offensive tackle, and a safety in the 6th round. And in the 7th round, they took 2 wide receivers, a 7th-rounder, and a long snapper. So there you go. And again, one of my biggest gripe here is you could have gone with a running back later or moved up, but the first pick of the 4th round was Hakeem Butler, who Arizona took. Right? I would much rather have Hakeem Butler than Madison from Boise State. But again, what do I know? So anyway, Minnesota still. I like what they did on offense. They get my number 1 slot in the NFC North, but not a lot of great drafts up here. Number 2, I went with the Lions, and this is kind of a pity pick because, well, you'll find out later. But I like Hackinson at number 8. He's one of my favorite players in this draft, but I think it was a bit of a reach. I don't think the Bills were taking him at number 9. I'm pretty sure the Steelers would not take a tight end at number 10. They were all in on their boy Bush. Would Denver have stayed at 10 if Hackinson was still on the board? I guess that's possible. So can't really complain too much about them taking him here at number 8. In their second round, they got Jalil Tavai, a linebacker out of Hawaii, which seems like a definite reach. A lot of people had him in the 4th round, and they took him at the top of the 2nd. Don't love that. Will Harris, I don't mind that pick in the 3rd round. And then in the 4th round, Austin Bryant also seemed like a reach. So I feel like this team is reaching all over the place, but they got one of my favorite players in the entire draft at Hackinson, at tight end, to really help out Matthew Stafford. In the 5th round, who I love, they took Amari Aruraye. That's probably not right, but he's a cornerback out of Penn State. A lot of people had him mocked as a 3rd rounder. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. So I think this one was a great value as well. I like Will Harris. Let me try his name again. I like Amani Aruwaye out of Penn State. I think they were both value picks, whereas the other picks were kind of reaches. So the Lions had an up and down draft, but in this division, that gets you 2nd place. They also had 2 6th-round picks where they took a wide receiver and a running back, and a 7th-round pick, tight end, and a 7th-round pick where they took a defensive end. So plenty of picks for the Lions. Hopefully something sticks for them. Again, this was kind of up and down, but in this division, it was good enough for 2nd place. Because in 3rd place, I took the Chicago Bears. And really, I'm not even factoring in that they got, great players last year in trades and gave up a lot of 2019 capital. I just think the Packers had a terrible draft. So the Bears, they lost Jarrence Howard. They replaced him with David Montgomery in this draft, which I think is fine. Let's see. They did pick up an extra 2nd-round pick next year. So at least, even though they're not going to have their 1st-round pick, they will have 2 seconds next year, which is nice. And then in the 4th round this year, they picked up Riley Ridley, wide receiver out of Georgia. Seems like he would be a good fit for Trubisky. Seems like a decent route runner, maybe not explosive like a guy like DK Metcalf, but he should be able to make the entire route tree very quickly, which should be good for Trubisky, who, didn't throw it all that accurately or well last year. But if you have a wide receiver who is in the right place, that should be good for your quarterback. In the 6th round, they took a cornerback and a running back. And then in the 7th round, they also took another quarterback. So 2 cornerbacks in this draft and 2 running backs for the Bears. Hopefully that works out for them. Okay, last place. The team who had the most capital in this draft, the Green Bay Packers. I hate what they did. At pick 112, they took Rashawn Gary out of Michigan. Okay, I didn't watch a lot of Michigan football this year, but from everything I've read, the guy has all the talents in the world, but simply had no production on tape. Is that the guy you really want to bet your hopes on if you're the Packers? I mean, does I think the Packers needed to go offense, and they went defense. Pick number 21, they went Darnell Savage. So is Rodgers really going to be happy with the first two picks going for defense? Rodgers needs help, and he didn't get any until the second round. Pick number 12, they took Ellington Jenkins, who seemed like a reach. A lot of people had him in like the third or fourth round. He's a center. Um, 4 offensive tackles went before them when they came out to pick in the second round. So couldn't they have traded up just a little bit? They had a whole bunch of later picks and, gotten one of those offensive tackles. It seems like it would have been a much better choice. In the third round, they took Jace Steinberger, who seems like a glorified wide receiver. I don't know. I guess that's a little bit of help for Rodgers, but man, if you're asking me, I want to get Rodgers all the help we can possibly get him on the offense, make a couple more runs at this thing, and give him some weapons. But I guess that just wasn't the way they wanted to go. That's why I had them coming in last, because I think Gary's a reach and he's a defensive player. Savage is a reach; he's a defensive player. At pick number 20, the Packers picked 21. At pick number 20, the Browns got it. Not the Browns. I'm sorry, the Broncos got in there and grabbed Fant right before them. I guess maybe the Packers thought they could get Fant at 21, and they were happy to sit there. But, man, that's a severe miscalculation. I'd much rather have Fant at pick number 19 than Jay Sternberger at pick number 11 in the third round. So, I don't know. That one hurts, I think. In round 5, they took a defensive tackle. Round 6, they took a cornerback. Who else did they take? They took a running back. Dexter Williams. The Packers could use, more offensive players. Dexter Williams, sure, he's a running back, but he doesn't catch the ball. In Green Bay, you need to be able to catch the ball as a running back. And then they took an inside linebacker with their 7th-round pick. So I just hate this draft for Green Bay. Give me some offense. Last year, I believe they also had 2 first-round picks, and they took 2 cornerbacks. So, I guess, the best way to help Rodgers, they're thinking, is to have a good defense, give him the ball more often. But, man, I think he needs some weapons. His only pass catcher is Adams, and they didn't do anything to improve that here. I don't think there's a wide receiver in this entire draft. Unless you count Jay Sternberger, who's technically a tight end. They took 1 offensive lineman and a running back. Ouch. I don't know. I just don't like the direction. I don't like the value. I don't like anything about it. So Packers come in last for me in the NFC North. Okay, that's all I have to say about that draft for the NFC North. We are going to be back tomorrow. We'll talk baseball and basketball unless something major happens in the NFL. And then on Friday, we'll go through another division. I don't think we had that listed yet. But anyway, tomorrow I'll tell you what we're going to do, and we're going to do baseball and basketball. Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Give us a like. We'd appreciate it. Tell your friends and your family. If you're listening over on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review and a nice rating. That's it for now. Please visit mathradio.com, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.